had the makings and the thought process that, hey, this is a year. We got to do it. It's about time.
And Mitch will recheck audio here.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Good there. Ready, Chico?
Let's go.
So when we fire Keenan, is that going through your mind like this could be a landing spot for me, or?
No, in the middle of a year, I'm not thinking too much like that. I mean, we had a great team in Colorado. We come off of a championship year, and then that year we're doing pretty well as well. Pierre was our general manager. I think he had a relationship with the prof and Ron, and that might have helped. But you know, I think I was excited as heck, and it was a fun place to start. I mean, great years here in St. Louis.
Did you know much about our roster? What did you look at?
Well, played against you guys, and we saw the team, and you got some great players. You got some best players in the game, stars. A privilege to walk into that team and knowing that these guys have a lot of experience, and more experience than almost I had. And it was, I think that part was, I think Roger and Jimmy, made that more comfortable immediately. But it was a good hockey team. We had a good team. I mean, I think we're always, and I look back from the start to the end, it was like every year we were almost good enough to get the job done. And it was like, that not getting it and closing that deal was that was a major disappointment. And but other than that, I thought we had success and had a chance to win.
So your first game, January 7th versus Edmonton, nervous at all, or?
And I didn't like the result. I didn't. I was always nervous as heck. Yeah, I mean that's your first game. I always find the first games of the seasons are nerve-wracking as well. So, but I thought we did well after that. We had some interesting stretches over the years there in St. Louis, whether it was 1 year with goalies but I think we did well after the first game.
Second game against San Jose would be your first of 969 wins. Do you remember that game? Do you remember who scored the game winner?
No.
Church scored with 26 seconds left.
Wow. I must have been really nervous behind the bench. Another one, nail biter.
Minute to go in regulation. Power play Blues. Pronger shot safe. Rebound. Turgeon scores. Pierre Turgeon. A power play goal with 25.4 seconds remaining. And Joel Quenneville, as happy as can be, has his first victory as an NHL head coach.
So Turge got the first game winner. A lot of options, a lot of talent, top end guys. Furzy in net, basically it was almost like Furzy had the net the whole time. I think I may have given him a few more days off than Mike would have. But at the same time, Furzy, I remember like it happened yesterday, when it was Game 7 in Arizona. That might have been one of the greatest performances ever.
Get the save, rebound, and Reichel into the middle. Great chance, and Adams is robbed by Fuhr.
You get us in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we lose 6 games to Detroit.
It was a great series. I think that, you knew right away St. Louis was a hockey town, coming into the town, playing in the building and being around the city and knowing that the pulse of Blues hockey was real. And, not a huge city, but, you could see it's a great sports town and everybody has their niches and just being a part of the Blues part of it was a lot of fun. Everybody knew about the team. Everybody was excited about it and wanted to see them have success. So it was fun being a part of that.
How was it coaching Hully?
Hully was I didn't compare him to anybody else. I just know that he was, he's a top player, maybe in the history of the game. I mean, one of the best pure scorers you're ever going to see. I think that whole year, whether there was contract negotiations started before I was there, how it all played out. I'm never privy to any of those conversations, but, it was like one of those things where, it was whether it was going to happen or not, probably right to the end. And, I think that, probably was a tough situation for everybody, knowing that he had to leave St. Louis, which is, they lose a guy that everybody in town loved and was their all-time favorite, or, like Hully was a celebrity of a different kind, and admired by everybody. So that was kind of tough, losing that type of a personality, and obviously what he meant for the team and the city was probably a hurdle for everybody to get over. But I think things turned out for him as well to have success in Dallas and in Detroit.
With that, if there's an opportunity for somebody else, did you sense that Pavel would turn into the player he was?
I'm not sure. I think when we got here, we had a couple Slovaks, and all of a sudden we had a little bit of dynamite, and the three of them being together, or two of them being together, where they just seemed to really gel off one another. And they played with a lot of passion, a lot of excitement. They wanted to be out there, and it turned out to be one of those one line for our team that was like put us on the map, where all of a sudden we were consistent, where they were one of our top lines, and you could play them against the other team's best line, and it was like they were a checking line, but really they could outscore them. So it was him and Jesus, and whether you got Barteco or whoever was on that line, there seemed to be chemistry there. But Pav was I really enjoyed him. I mean, there's guys you like coaching, there's some guys that you really have a good relationship or good rapport with, but Pav, there's a little connection there between me and him, where he whenever he felt like it was time for him to get out there, or he had a vibe that he was going to score, he would just turn around and look at me like, "You better put me out there right now." And if I didn't, well, he was sour, but he'd usually get the tap and get out there and and then things usually happen pretty well,
Joel, 98-99, that was Al's finally winning his first Norris Trophy as the league's best defenseman. How good was Al?
Well, Al was outstanding. He was a special guy to coach. Very competitive, very smart, very aware of what's going on, what's the team need, or how he can help or push buttons like a coach would. You know what you're going to get with Al, and whether it's for the shot, for the power play, or how he played in his own end. But he was a smart defenseman, safe, predictable, puck moving. A lot of ingredients that you look for in a defenseman, and I was fortunate to coach him.
All right, I got to ask you, when Pronger went down in Detroit, take us through that.
Wow, that was the scariest thing I've been around in a game, and at first I didn't know what happened. He blocked the shot, and it was right there, right flat, right on the button.
There's a problem here. He took the slap shot into the chest. The trainer's out there quickly, and you can see with that slap shot into his ribs and chest, he's having some problems. And here comes John Wharton from the Detroit bench, just very serious.
And he was down, and they're trying to revive him. And then you hear the statistics after what the likelihood of that him getting back to normal at that moment was almost impossible to imagine. That's how lucky he was, or we were. And then the scary part is when they removed him from the ice, and I remember Bud Lynch because I remember Bud Lynch from when I was a young kid listening to the games in Windsor, and he goes on could Mr. and Mrs. Pronger come down by the Zamboni door, and so that was I've never heard that before either, so that was a scary moment for all of us. It's just one of those miracles that but I never seen anything like it. Didn't miss a game. Didn't play the rest of that game, but didn't miss a game. But we didn't know he'd be able. We had to, I think, going into the game, we're debating how do we want to. Is he going to try it, or just wait? Let's wait and see. But we weren't certain that he was going to be able to play. But we were pretty comfortable that he was comfortable, and everybody else around it was fine with it as well.
99-2000, you set a Blues record, 51 wins, 114 points, President's Trophy. That was a special team.
A very balanced team, though. We started to be a little bit deeper, I think, up front, where we had 3 or 4 more lines that no matter what line was out there, we were comfortable. And some high-end talent. We had speed. And, I think that, obviously sometimes there's some disappointments in the game. Definitely that first round exit was probably the biggest failure we had.
Watching Prongs win the North and win the Hart, have you seen any defenseman dominate the way he did that year?
Well, I think he did it all the time. He just happened. He's just one of those players that influences the game, whether it's a score, whether it's the flow of the game, whatever's necessary at that time. He was one of the smartest players I've ever coached, or smartest, and just was very efficient on how he managed, so he could play almost the whole game. On some nights that we almost pushed him to it. So there are some games that kind of stood out with Prongs, but I think no matter who his partner was, his pair would always be the top pair. But he'd be playing sometimes with our 6, 7, 8 defensemen, and giving us more balance in our team.
We make probably one of the biggest trades in Blues history, bringing in Big Walt from Phoenix. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember the trading deadline going into it, and all the different scenarios and options, and then all of a sudden we get Walt. I think was the highlight of for a few years. It was a key acquisition throughout the league, and knowing that there's always a price to pay to get a player of that dynamic. But the one thing I love about Walt, not too many guys, whether you're a center or a winger, can go through the middle of the ice and go through people. And that was the one thing that he had, and that was a great addition to our team. That you're going to have presence in the middle of the ice, you're going to have a net front presence, you're going to have power, and him and Mel fit that type of play right off the bat together, where they were just reading off one another and kind of complimenting each other, and formed a real good line.
We finished with over 100 points, and then we play your Colorado Avalanche.
Yes, I remember that series. I remember when they were playing Game 7 against LA, and then to find out that Forsberg gets hurt in Game 7, and all of a sudden they don't have Forsberg, and Forsberg is the wild player. And so it was like, okay, it's not going to be easy, boys, but we, I think in that series we just got behind early in every game. And, Patrick put on a show that series. That Patrick was really good for them, and that Patrick Waugh. And, those games were a lot closer than it looked. I thought we might have outchanced them most of those games, or outplayed them. But, we were playing catch-up every single night, and they went on to win the Cup that year. So it was they had one of those years where maybe an unpredictable year where they went on one of those runs, and that was as close as we got in the time we're there. But I really smelt that we had a great opportunity going into that series. In order to win the Cup, you got to have a lot of things got to go right. You need a lot of things that, whether it's health, whether it's a big save, a big goal, or the one year we had was the worst thing ever when we went and played Vancouver when we were up 3-1, and all of a sudden we get some guys got the flu. Next thing you know, almost the whole team's sick, and we never recovered from that. And that was it looked like we could have gone on the way on a run that year as well. So, but they're not excuses, but it's just knowing that you need a lot of good things in your favor, and there's always a defining moment in every series that flips the coin one way or the other. At the end, you can look back and say that's when it all changed.
You get the call. Do you remember that day Larry called you to come down?
I don't remember so much that one. I know. I mean, Larry was good about it. I don't think that it's never a good conversation, and but it was short. It was brief. It was, but hey, did I foresee it coming? I remember the game prior to that. We had too many men on the ice, penalties. Whether that played a part of it, I remember that. But I mean, it was, we're a tough stretch. I think that you look back and what we accomplished and what we achieved. Hey, we didn't win the playoffs, I understand.
The fans and the people of St. Louis, like, pretty good place to coach or play.
Perfect place. We loved it here. kids loved it. They still got friends from St. Louis, and I still talk to them. And I even remember some of the kids when they were kindergarten, some of the kids they were with now this is years ago. We're talking years ago. So it's it's the memories are still around, and you see Blue Notes around, just walking in today, a guy recognized you as coach, and to see St. Louis people everywhere. Down in Florida, Naples, there's a lot of Blues fans and a lot of St. Louis people.
Was there some satisfaction on seeing us finally do it, finally win the Cup?
Absolutely. I was happy for you guys, especially the way things went. I mean, all the years, and that might have been one of the darkest years that you guys were in their existence when you think of what happened at that time. Whether it's January, you're in 30th place or 20, whatever it was, and then having a run like that, the magical run, and I was happy for the city. The city's been craving for a championship, and they've been pretty good years for the most part. Blues hockey's always been above average as far as the team's chances of winning and having depth and competitive teams, and that was probably a year at one point not even on the radar, and then to have one of these unbelievable runs, maybe the greatest surprise runs in the history of the game. I was happy for everybody. I was happy for the fans more than anyone.
And the day after we win the Cup, we end up at Obi's, which you might be the founding father of turning that place into a hockey bar. Actually,
I'm not taking credit for that. I didn't go there much.
Every team you come in here with, you go there.
Oh yeah, we always, it's always good to have it's great watching hockey and having, some chicken wings and talking hockey and telling stories.